back here watching the 18 Money Show with me, Kavita Thapliyal. Now, there are plethora of funds available in the market to invest your hard-earned money, but how do you assess which is the right fund for your portfolio? What are the criteria that one should look at? To help you navigate through this maze, we have on board Hemant Rustagi, Wiseinvest Advisors Pvt.Ltd. Also, do not forget to send us your portfolio queries on our WhatsApp number, which is 865-797-4571, or you can email us your queries on themoneyshow@etnow.tv. Good evening, Hemant, and welcome to the show. Let us start with our viewer queries first, which is from Ritika. And Ritika says that she is 32 years old. She is working with an MNC, and the monthly income is around 60,000 per month. And she wants to invest 15,000 per month in mutual funds. And the total corpus that she is looking for is 80 lakhs in 10 to 15 years. Currently, she is investing in PGIM Mid Cap Fund, SBI Magnum Mid Cap, and SBI Small Cap. And she wants to know that for the corpus that she wants to collect, can she stick to this fund mix? Well, quite an aggressive portfolio filled with mid caps and small caps. I think she really needs to balance it out. What will you say?
Yes, good evening, Kavita. I agree with you. I think there are two important aspects that we need to see in terms of Ritika's portfolio. She has a time horizon of, let's say, around 15 years, and she's currently investing 15,000, and the goal is to accumulate a corpus of around 80 lakh. So since the time horizon is 15 years and the entire portfolio is in equity, we can assume annualized return of 12% to figure out how much she will be able to accumulate. And with that, I think she should be able to accumulate around 76 lakh, which is maybe 4 lakh less than what she is planning to build. So two things. That one, I believe that she's just 32-year-old. She's quite young. She has a time horizon of 15 years. So my recommendation would be that while she needs to continue this SIP for the defined time horizon of 15 years, another important thing that she can do is that to top up her SIP every year. So if she decides to kind of increase this amount by 10% every year, and if she continues this process for the 15 years that she originally intended to do, she can actually accumulate a corpus of around 1 crore 30 lakhs. So we can see it can make a huge difference. So I think that's something that I would recommend every investor who is investing through SIP should consider, increasing SIP amount every year. In terms of portfolio, I totally agree with you. Look, equity is an aggressive asset class, we know that. And the aggression in the equity in terms of volatility, we kind of try to tackle it by investing for the long term and also investing in a systematic way. But you don't have to make your portfolio very aggressive in the hope that I will get more return. So my recommendation would be that there are 2 mid-cap funds, there is 1 small-cap fund. I think she needs to balance it out, as you rightly mentioned. So I would recommend that she can actually stop SIP in 1 mid-cap fund, which is out of the 2, it can be SBI mid-cap, and include 1 quality large-cap fund, which is Nippon India large-cap. So what will happen then is 33% will be invested in each of the market segments, that's large cap, mid cap, and small cap. So she needs to kind of balance it out, realign the portfolio. And as I mentioned, if she decides to increase her SIP amount every year, she can actually accumulate much larger corpus.
All right. So now I have 2 questions for you. First, Nippon India Large Cap Fund. Why not a passive in a large cap category and why an active, looking at the underperformance these days?
Well, I think broadly, if you talk in general, you would see, yes, maybe there is underperformance, but it's not that every large cap fund has underperformed. 2, I still believe that in our markets, even in the large cap, if the portfolio is good, it's a good quality portfolio, and a fund manager who has a proven track record still has the potential to deliver higher returns. So my view is that you're not building you're not investing a large amount where you need to kind of have active and passive investing. By all means, you can have passive investing, but I feel that a good, actively managed large cap fund still has the potential to deliver higher return, especially when your time horizon is 15 years. So I would still go with an active fund.
The other active large cap funds, how good is the portfolio quality of Nippon India large cap? What do you like in it?
Well, what I like is, 1, it is well diversified, okay, and the consistency in performance. See, what happens is that, the real test of the fund manager is when you analyze the performance over a longer period. In the short term, you can see many winners who will come because what happens usually is the money moves from one set of sectors to another set of sectors. So maybe a particular fund has a type of a portfolio that may find favor in the short term. But I think when you look at the long-term performance, all the volatility, all the events in the market, you will see that will even out over a period. So what I like about is the level of diversification, the quality of the portfolio, and the sector allocation. I think broadly that's why I recommended this fund. And I feel that in the large cap category, this is one of the funds that every investor can have.
Now let's talk about the mid cap and small cap category, because every new investor who wants to begin this process of investing always looks up to mid cap and small cap category. Now talking about other categories where you also have exposure like a multi cap or a flexi cap of mid cap and small cap, is it necessary to have a standalone mid cap or a small cap fund in a portfolio, or if you already have a multi cap and a flexi cap, you're covered?
Well, I think it again depends on the kind of investor you are. Like if you're very clear in terms of what kind of allocation you want for different segments in the market, you can definitely go for the fund which are investing in a particular segment. If you're not one of those investors who are very sure about how much allocation should be there and what is the time to rebalance, maybe then either a flexi cap or a multi-cap fund will do. But within two categories, Kavita, the important point is that look, when you look at a multi-cap fund, okay, the SEBI regulation very clearly says that the fund manager has to invest minimum 25% in each of the three segments. In the flexi cap, there is a lot of flexibility to the fund manager. So invariably, what you will see is that most multi-cap funds will have a bias towards the large cap. So maybe if your intent is that you want to remain invested in all three, maybe the flexi cap will not be the right kind of category. The multi-cap would. But the problem in the multi-cap is that it's a relatively new category. So there are very few funds which have a longer term track record. So the issue is when you're looking at selecting a fund, then you don't have a long-term record to really look at. So there are fewer options actually in that. So as long as you are an investor who understands how much allocation, what is the time to kind of rebalance if you need to do it. While I agree that in terms of taxation, in terms of timing, okay, leaving it to the fund manager is always a good idea. But then the good thing about picking funds from different segments is that you can pick the best in the category, which you may not have the flexibility when you're looking at a multi-cap or a flexi cap.
All right, let's move on to our next caller, which is Kushal, and he says that he's been investing since last 5 years, and he's accumulated a corpus of 3 lakhs in last 4 years. Now, he wants to pay off his car loan of 15 lakh in next 5 years, and which is why he wants to understand if he needs to invest more, and the kind of funds you would recommend him for 10 to 20,000 per month in mutual funds.
Well, Kavita, if I need to look at these two aspects separately, one is the existing portfolio that he has, and the second one is what's looking at investing additionally for the next 5 years. So if the time horizon is 5 years and you are investing through SIP, which means your holding period is going to be much less, maybe around 2.5 years. So obviously for this kind of time horizon, I would not certainly recommend going into 100% equity or maybe aggressive equity hybrid funds. For me, I think the best category in that would be, dynamic asset allocation fund, which is popularly known as balanced advantage fund. And the reason for that is that depending on the market level, the fund manager will keep on, either increasing or reducing the exposure to equity, which I think works very well for a time horizon of 5 years, especially when you're investing through SIP. If his intent is to invest, let's say 20,000 at this point in time, I would recommend 3 funds in that case. One is ICICI through Balanced Advantage Fund, second one is the Kotak Balanced Advantage Fund, and the third one is Nippon India Balanced Advantage Fund. But like what he said, his range of investment varies from 10 to 20. If the intent is to invest only 10,000, then maybe he can reduce the number of funds too. But if he wants to go ahead and invest 20,000, then I think maybe he can look at 3 funds. But again, I'm saying that unless he's looking at adding into existing portfolio, it's a different thing. But if he's looking at this as a completely new portfolio for a specific reason, then he should be looking at balanced advantage.
Now the question over here is, we don't have his existing portfolio, Hemant, where he says that he's collected 3 lakhs. Now, the funds you've recommended is specifically for 10 to 20,000 to pay off the car loan. Is this investment aligned with that goal? Because since that's asked.
Oh yes, I'm looking at that. But then again, I think another question that he needs to really see is this strategy of investing rather than repaying the loan with that amount. Again, it all depends on what can we expect from the portfolio and what kind of interest rate that is paying for his car loan. That's an important factor he needs to look at, because when you're looking at a balance advantage fund, ideally speaking, over a period of 5 years, maybe you can expect a return of around 10% plus. So he needs to keep that in mind. It's not that he has 10, 15 years to build this portfolio or investing 100% quickly. I think this is an important factor. Yes, my recommendation clearly is assuming that he is looking at building a separate portfolio for this specific purpose.
How good is the strategy of having a goal-based investment to pay off your loan? Could be a car loan or a home loan or any kind of liability that you want to pay off within a certain time frame.
Sorry, Kavita, can you repeat the question?
So I'm asking you, how good is the strategy of having a goal-based investment if it is to pay off your liabilities? Could be a car loan, home loan, even a credit card bill, within a specific time frame. How good is the strategy? How can one go about it?
Well, I think there are two things. One, if you plan everything, for example, if you want to plan a purchase well in advance, and if you feel that you have sufficient time to build the corpus required for that, then obviously it makes sense to follow a goal-based investment process, build up the corpus, and you can avoid actually taking a loan. But in case you've already taken a loan, and now you're debating whether it makes sense for me to the money that I have to repay as additional EMI, or maybe invest elsewhere so I can, get higher return and at least make something out of this. So it clearly depends on what exactly are you looking at. Like I said, one of the important factors is to see what is the interest rate that you're paying and what can you expect from the portfolio. Unless and until you are confident of, getting higher return than what you're paying, it doesn't make sense to delay repaying. But nothing better than planning your big purchase like a car, and if you can build that corpus, that obviously is the best thing.
All right, Hemant, we have a live caller with us. You don't have the details as yet, but then I'm going to share it with you because we have Mahesh from Bangalore online with us. Hi Mahesh, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for taking me on the phone.
Thank you so much for sending us your query. So I believe you want to do a lump sum investment of 15 lakhs?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. What's the time frame of this investment?
I would like to keep it for 5-6 years.
5 to 6 years. And apart from that, any other SIP?
No SIPs.
Okay. You want a monthly income from this 15 lakh investment, and how much would that be? What would be the amount?
Whatever I can get, the best that I can get.
Okay. And this will start after 6 years of your investment, right?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Just for better understanding, this is your retirement money, or is this something that you have?
Yes, it's a retirement money.
It's your retirement money. Are you dependent on this money for your regular income?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay, but you would still like to have a monthly income from this investment. Perfect. Hemant, any other information you would want from Mahesh?
No, I mean, just that, like he mentioned, he is looking at building this portfolio only for a specific purpose.
Right.
Ideally speaking, I mean, it's always good to know what are the existing investments so that we know what kind of asset allocation which is there in the portfolio and how much risk can be taken, because this is the retirement fund, retirement money for a specific purpose. The good thing is that it's not dependent on the income which is going to be generated from there. So I'm assuming that if this portfolio has to be built only for the specific purpose, I would again go with the category which I just mentioned in the last query, which is a balanced advantage fund. The reason for that is when you're investing in a mutual fund, you are looking at generating income at some point in time and also looking at the growth. So, my recommendation always is that, you build a corpus through, because the time horizon is 5 years. And he also mentioned that he would like to start generating income as early as possible. So go for balanced advantage fund, give them at least 3-4 years to grow, then set up a systematic withdrawal plan. Ideally speaking, you should look at maybe taking out 5 or 6% out of this. What it will do for you is, like I mentioned earlier in the show, that if your expectation is, let's say, 10% plus kind of return from this investment, and if you take out 5 to 6%, one, it becomes very tax efficient. Second is, irrespective of the fact, in spite of the fact that you're invested in a market linked product, you still are very sure of getting that money on a particular day that you have decided. And the third is, it also gives you an opportunity to make your money grow by 3 to 4%, which means that it will help you in taking care of inflation in the long run. So look at a couple of funds I've just mentioned in this category. Look at those funds, allow it to grow for a few years, set up a systematic withdrawal plan, look at withdrawing 5 or 6% and allow the rest of the money to grow.
When you talk about tax efficiency, how does that work when we do a SWP?
Well, there are two things. Look at, like, he mentioned that he's investing, let's say, 15 lakh. Okay, and if you're drawing, let's say, 6% of that, I'm just taking a ballpark figure, you're taking on, let's say, 100,000 rupees. Now, this 1 lakh which comes out is a combination of your investment and also the capital gain. And considering the fact that for tax purposes, these balanced advantage funds are treated as equity fund, which means that up to 1 lakh rupees capital gain is tax free every year. So if your capital gain is going to be less than 1 lakh, which means you're not paying any tax. So as we can see, that one, you've given yourself an opportunity to get higher return than what you would get in any traditional instrument. Second, you can set up a systematic withdrawal plan. You are assured of getting a certain amount irrespective of the market condition. And third is, virtually you'll be actually getting a tax-free money. So I think as a combination, that's why I believe that rather than opting for a dividend option, systematic withdrawal plan is the best option for anyone who is looking at ensuring that a regular income comes in.
Right, so balance advantage category is the answer for you, Mahesh, and as explained, invest your money, let it grow, and then you can start withdrawing 5 to 6%. Thank you so much for sending us your query, and with that, Hemant, thank you so much for being on the show and helping our viewers with their financial goals today. And before I wind up, I'm leaving you with a WhatsApp number and an email ID where we keep waiting for your financial planning queries. 865-797-4571, that's the WhatsApp number. The moneyshow@etnow.tv, that's the email ID where you have to send us your financial portfolio details and we will get an answer to our experts. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.